So, real quick announcement, The Hitchhiker, which is one of the movies in today's block, is in the public domain. And it's now available to watch ad-free, interruption-free, and in 4K on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen it yet, please feel free to pause the show, watch it, and come back. Because, spoiler alert, it's a good one. All right, Brian, let's start the show.
I'm Brian Foster, and this is the Grindhouse Institute. On each episode of this podcast, Jeremy Floyd and I program a double or triple feature movie night. Each of the movies share common themes, and we discuss them here. We're happy you could join us for today's episode we call Hot Summer Noir 3. As the world experiences rising temperatures and some of the hottest meteorological summers on record according to NASA, the Grindhouse gang is cranking the heat to 11 with a third entry into our Hot Summer Noir series. A fishing trip to Mexico turns deadly when two buddies unwittingly become hostages after offering a ride to a notorious American serial killer. Edmund O'Brien and Frank Lovejoy attempt to outsmart William Tallman in Ida Lupino's The Hitchhiker from 1953. Escaped convicts take an unsuspecting group hostage and hole up in an abandoned mining town. Luckily, no one else is there to spoil their plans. Unluckily, an atomic bomb test is set to commence at 0600 the next morning. Or was it 0500? Stephen McNally, Alexis Smith, and Jan Sterling star in Dick Powell's Split Second from 1953. Two reporters, a pen pal suffering from hybristophilia, and a paperboy investigate the story of an inmate who may have been wrongfully convicted. Sticky heat, messy love triangles, and vicious murders make for an extremely deadly combination. Matthew McConaughey, David Oyelowo, Zac Efron, John Cusack, and Nicole Kidman deliver some extremely heated performances in Lee Daniels' The Paperboy from 2012. Thank you for listening to the Grindhouse Institute. Please enjoy.
We'll be a long way from that bomb when it blows.
I wouldn't feel right about letting them get killed.
Well, how would you feel about letting them spoil all our plans?
I can't help it, sir. I come too close to die. I wouldn't want it on my conscience.
Well, forget about it. I'll carry it on mine.
Whose gun is that?
Mine.
You like to shoot?
Yeah.
So do I. So I'm warning you, don't try anything smart with me.
Move.
I'm getting horny being this close to him. I bet he's horny for me all the time.
Now she was all he could think of night and day. Oh yeah, he was definitely in love.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here, all right? I'm gonna call police.
Listen, I will kick your ass. Move it. If anyone's gonna piss on him, it's gonna be me. He don't like strangers peeing on him.
That fucking Paperboy is too much. Like, that movie is really fucked up.
It's really intense, yeah.
It's great. But I think those are the kind of movies that I really like. I'm like, wow, that shit affected me. Like, it really affected me. And
yeah,
successful.
Do you guys
that.
like Wild Things? The
Yeah.
Dennis Richards?
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, I love Wild Things. It's like that and Cruel Intentions are like formative teen movies.
Yeah.
When I saw Way Too Young.
Yes.
But Paperboy played a double feature with Wild Things last summer at the New Bev, and
cool.
that's what put it on my radar. Because when it came out, people were like, "Okay, that movie's fine. It's way better than I thought it would be."
Right. I think 2012 is just not in line with the zeitgeist, maybe, and it's like it's a little too I don't know, in your face or whatever. And these are the post-recession era, you know, and like it was a time where it's like everyone wanted to be optimistic or whatever, and like this one is definitely not that. And you know, it's so explicit about sex, and at a time where like that's just trending down, and like, you know, we're now in a place where like Oppenheimer gets controversy because of a sex scene, and it's like, what? Why?
Right.
Yeah.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
How is he?
He'll be all right.
Good. We'll just sit around till 5 o'clock, then we'll do what we can about shaking this place.
You mean move him?
Of course, move him.
You take him over those rough roads, he'll hemorrhage and be dead in an hour.
What do you mean? I thought you said he was all right.
Well, he will be if you let him rest.
How long?
At least a day.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll just sit around and toast marshmallows on the bomb blast, huh?
That's your problem.
What's the matter, Captain?
You men will have to get out of here. This is a restricted area.
Well, we're just out here on a hunting trip.
You'll have to turn around and move out. This is an atomic testing ground.
What?
The bomb's scheduled to go off here in the morning.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to the Grindhouse Institute. I'm Brian Foster, and with me as always is Jeremy Floyd. Hello, and how are you?
Oof, I am sweating buckets over here. It's still too hot. The summer just never ends. Even though we're winding down on summer,
yeah,
I don't think so.
We had a couple days of reprieve here, and now it's back to the 90s and hundreds. I don't know how this is happening, but it works for our show today.
Yeah.
As we're here for part 3 of our exploration into the world of hot, steamy, sexy noir. Jeremy, if you could please do the introduction to our long-time returning guest.
Yeah, so this has become an annual tradition at this point of, every time it gets super hot, we're like, wait a minute, we need to do the show again. And then by the time we get around to do it, it's going to be near the end of summer. And technically, we're recording before the end of summer, even though it's after Labor Day. But we made it just under the wire. And since we're doing film noir, we had to bring back our favorite film noir account, Only Film Noir, Alex Vlahov.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me back. With climate change, we might be just be able to do this the rest of our lives, you know?
Yeah. Endless summer.
Not even just an annual thing, It's a monthly,
I think hottest year on record, hottest summer on record.
I think that's what they said since they've been measuring. Yeah.
Hooray.
Here we
and
go.
Topical, too. One of them ties to a... I don't know if you heard, but there's a biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer. I don't know. It's a little popular. It came out this summer.
Independent film? Yeah.
Little indie. Yeah. It was a made-for-TV movie. So there's a fun tie to one of these selections. So just want to...
So, we're doing a 3-parter today, starting off with 2 films from 1953, The Hitchhiker and Split Second, and one from 2012, if I'm correct, The Paperboy, Lee Daniels' film. So 2 of these are, very similar and definitely go together. I think one of them is kind of an oddball here with The Paperboy, but definitely fits within hot, steamy, sexy. But let's get into it, gents. This is quite a block we've got here.
It certainly is.
That smelled awful.
Well, that's because that blonde lady peed all over your face.
As per usual, even the odd man out in our film noir blocks somehow fits really, really well.
Somehow works.
We've got the... guy with the wonky eye in Hitchhiker, who could have been played by John Cusack.
Absolutely, wild-eyed John Cusack here.
Or the essentially the same character. What's his name? Stephen McNally, I think his name was, in Split Second, who played the leader
Sam.
of the gang, Sam.
Yep.
All very very similar, in how they treat women, for instance.
Exactly.
Outside cities, more the county line noir, bayou noir, desert noir.
Right.
These are very rural locations.
Yeah.
Accidentally, all 3 of them.
Right.
Great.
We were just trying to think of things that were hot, and they also kind of, came together in a lot of other ways.
Yeah, I mean, I would say The Paperboy made me... I needed to take a shower after watching that movie. It was such a steamy one.
Yeah. You got sweaty through osmosis.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like it was a very slimy, sticky movie.
Did you guys know about the pee scene before that scene's reputation preceded it?
I knew about nothing.
I knew it was a neo-noir, and that was about it, basically.
Gotcha. I'd heard through friends, Nicole Kidman pees on Zac Efron. That's the only thing that I knew about that movie.
If only I knew that going into it, I would have been more excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been totally sold. Or the, John Cusack busting a nut in his pants. I thought that was also something that would have totally sold me.
Hands-free.
Hands-free. Yeah. No touching in jail.
No touching. No touching. No touching.
Got to learn how to do things a different way. Yeah.
That might be the best scene of the movie. The
really
no
was.
touching.
By a performance-wise, I'd say absolutely. I mean, that was electrifying, if anything.
That changed. The movie was moving along for me. I was like, okay. And then when that happened, I was like, oh, we are in its own territory.
And then I think that's exactly when the movie kind of takes that big hard left turn, and all of a sudden, you find out a little bit more about Matthew McConaughey and why he's got these odd scars on his face that are very mysterious. And
how I got these scars.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of had this strange history where we don't know where all this came from, but all of a sudden that starts unraveling a little bit more when we see how he gets kind of caught up with a few choice individuals at one point, and we get a little bit more into that. But it's interesting how Lee Daniels kind of just touches on a lot of the story in this. He doesn't really go too deep into much. It's a lot of hints and tricks and little it's tiny
little,
moments.
Yeah, snatches of poetry almost, because you get a lot of information in a very small nugget there.
Really well done.
Yeah.
Where's your dress?
Well, you don't like me like this?
A prisoner by the name of Mr. Bobby Valentine.
Mr. Van Wetta.
Mr. DeMarcus Williams, Mr. Bobby Hampton, another prisoner by the name of Jimmy Edwards. You know what they all have in common? Hey, Martin Luther King. You know what they all have in common?
What they got in common?
They all wear pants. Every goddamn man in here wears pants. How am I supposed to tell you apart from them? Turn around, bitch!
I liked Precious is the other film he made, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? There's like a documentary.
And Lee Daniels is the butler.
And the butler,
Which
yeah.
I have missed that one, but it's so funny when the name is in the title.
Yeah.
That's the Forrest Whitaker one, right?
Yeah.
And same actor as this one as well, right?
David,
Oyelowo.
whatever his last name is, Oyelowo.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought it was Oyelowo, yeah, but yeah.
Oyelowo, yeah, that's probably it.
There's a couple interesting things here. At one point, someone calls him Martin Luther King or jokes about him being Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And mentions it,
Yeah.
and he's in Selma, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Wait,
Yeah.
had he done Selma yet?
I don't
think so. No. But also, he is to me the only one that feels like perfectly cast. And here's my thing about Paperboy. I feel like everyone is slightly miscast. Everyone works, everyone's good, but it is like like John Cusack playing that role is like, what? I mean,
You think that's a miscast, huh? That's interesting. I thought he was pretty good in the role.
I think he's good. I think
Yeah.
he's really good. I think in 2012, there's a lot of other people that I think would have been the first blush of like, hey, maybe. And then Nicole Kidman, she's really good in that role. But this is in that period where she's doing like Stoker. She's like kind of going out there with like, she always has been very like experimental, but like I just feel like she might not have been the first immediate person. And same with Zac Efron and maybe even Matthew McConaughey. All of them seem like it's just, I was watching this the whole time being like, them. And it works. They're all really good. But Daniel Oluwayo, I'm going to fuck up his last name, but he seems like he nailed it. And the dad, the one that's in like the right stuff.
But do you think that was kind of intentional because everyone had like an ulterior or an alternate like personality that no one really knew about?
What they were supposed to be presenting versus, yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, didn't he start out as kind of British, but then all of a sudden he's not British?
Look, we have a deadline here. I've told you, this is the newspaper business. We don't have time to get all the facts. We both know.
The fucking truth.
You want to talk about the motherfucking truth? You thought I was from London? Ain't no Negro getting a job up in this spot unless he's a colored motherfucking James Bond, you dig?
That reveal was pretty good.
I thought that was really interesting, right? Like that was a huge character reveal. All of a sudden you're just like, this guy's full of shit. And then you can never trust him again, And then even by the end, he's kind of a shady journalist, right? I mean, that's out for the story.
Right.
He disappears after that scene.
Yeah, absolutely. That was his last scene. That was very interesting.
You're right. Everyone has a duality. So the brother, has this, appears very above board, but I mean, at the time had to be very closeted and seems to be into like very, very violent shit.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman is like
fetish
for writing for prisoners, but also is like very childlike and like dancing with him in the rain to pop songs. John Cusack, they're trying to get him off. He turns out to be the worst human being like ever.
Yeah, exactly. And he gets himself off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're trying to get him out of jail. So I'm just
kidding.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. That pun must be used in the court system, like trying to get him off. Oh yeah, trying to get your defendant off. Yeah,
he pulled a real Cusack. Yeah.
Everyone, and same for Efron. He's the paper boy ends up being like the hero kind of at the end.
Yeah.
I liked his aloofness though. I thought he was kind of this like innocent but not really innocent. Again, the duality kind of thing. He's got these really odd fantasies about Nicole Kidman and things that he kind of plays out in his head, and that kind of like draws him into this almost Bonnie and Clyde-esque thing with her. He kind of wants to tail along with her and thinks that he's with her and thinks that he's got her, and then it just doesn't end well for her. Matthew McConaughey.
I didn't realize, not to spoil, I didn't realize that she had passed away already in the house. I mean,
it wasn't very clear. She was just laying there, passed out. But they do say she's gone at the end.
At the end, yeah.
They were definitely playing it like, oh, did he just beat her up and she's unconscious, or what's happening there?
Ambiguity there. Yeah.
But it became very clear pretty quickly, so it wasn't like, what the hell's going on in this scene? It's like it was like one of those things where it didn't give you all the information right up front. Yeah, and the movie did that really well, I guess, throughout, of like just withholding certain things,
yeah,
and getting you to that place.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Speaking of the casting, real quick, I feel like everyone was really well cast, with maybe the exception of John Cusack. I mean, he was really, really good as
stick out to you,
against
though?
type, and he sold it. He sold everything, maybe except for being the Swamp Man or whatever. Like, his cousin, you bought it. The dentist from Ed Wood who has an uncanny resemblance to Bela Lugosi. Like, you bought it. Yeah, it's uncanny. You bought it. That he was a swamp people or whatever.
The whole stature and like the shoulders and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, like John Cusack, like you definitely bought as a disgusting, awful criminal, very evil person.
But not living in the bayou kind of thing.
But I was not getting a lot of bayou from him.
Yeah.
Everyone else, though, I felt like, although they were interesting casting, like Scott Glenn or whatever with his like weird haircut.
Scott Glenn, that's what it was. He was great. Yeah.
And like Matthew McConaughey's like scars and all this stuff. Macy Gray.
Yes.
That was interesting.
She was actually really fucking good.
She was.
I was looking that up around this time. She was actually in a few movies. I think she must have been trying this for a bit, but she was good.
Yeah.
But she was still Macy Gray. She was always Macy Gray the whole time. You could tell it was Especially seeing her perform and things like that live, like you could see that that's Macy Gray. Yeah.
She was on TikTok Live last night, just doing her thing.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Does she do that regularly?
I don't actually know. I know my girlfriend like showed it to me. She's like, hey, because she was here when we were watching The Paperboy. She's like, hey, guess who's been like doing music on live for the last hour? So yeah, I just saw her perform a little last night. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and just like one last note, I think on the casting though, it's like it's almost like in certain casting choices where the person is playing against type so hard. In a lot of ways, it has a little uncanny valley feeling, like your brain wants to reject it. Like, did you guys ever see the movie The Good German?
No, I've never seen that movie.
No, is that the one? It's directed by an actor, right?
It's directed by Steven Soderbergh.
And that's my bad. That's The Good Shepherd, I think.
Good Shepherd, right? That was directed by Robert De Niro.
Right.
But Good German, yeah, it's Kate Blanchett and Mr. Nespresso. What the fuck is his name? Very famous actor.
Mr. Lake Como, George Clooney.
George Clooney, Lake Como, exactly. Wow, brain fart. The
tiny actor that no one knows about.
No one's ever heard of him.
Oh, I remember this film because it was like a throwback to studio films.
Well, that was, I guess, the marketing. When you watch it, it doesn't feel like that. I mean, it's like it's maybe a kind of shot, and the music kind of sounds like it could belong in the Third Man era. But they have Tobey Maguire beating up women and calling them bitch and all this stuff, and it's like, whoa, you just
that's the uncanny valley there, right?
That's what I mean. It's like who's that? And it's also funny because his voice is still like, Seabiscuit, and like, yeah, exactly, and like come on, bitch, shut up, bitch, and all this stuff. Like,
Spider-Man beating the hell out of people.
The war was the best thing that ever happened to me, because when you have money, then for the first time in your life, you understand it. Money allows you to be who you truly are.
Telly, stop!
Shut up! Stupid fuck!
I got a little of that with John Cusack and his Bangkok Dangerous hair there, but he actually kind of pulled it off. I mean, you believed him as this sweaty, vicious
it was
monster.
Gross.
But how interesting was, like we were talking about a minute ago, the sort of poetry of how the movie was kind of put together, these little pieces.
Not much connecting. Well, I mean, there was, but there, you still got those almost dreamlike moments where you're kind of somewhere else, and sometimes you were in a dream,
right.
And you had no idea, which I thought was really successful.
Lee Daniels, I think, is really good at pace. Like, I liked the pace of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's lackadaisical when it needs to be. It's just kind of like a hangout, southern, like, sweaty flophouse feeling film. And then it really picks up once in a while. It plays with that pretty well.
Yeah, and like jumps in time, too. It's just like, now it's, 8 months later.
It was shot by Roberto Schaefer, who did, like, Best in Show and things for Christopher Guest. So it does have a bit of that documentary feel, and I think that lends itself to that pace, that realistic fly on a wall.
And it was shot in like 16 millimeter, which really stood out. It's like, especially we're so used to now to like looking at the cleanest digital image ever
Yeah, not a lot of that grain, not a lot of that.
The grain
noise.
in this really brought something to it. I mean, okay, maybe part of it's the period in the late 60s.
Yeah.
But it also played on, the steaminess and the heat. It's like, with the moisture in the air, there's also this grain in
you get a vapor
frame and the vapor feeling. Exactly.
Would you mind putting up the windows? It's gonna mess my hair.
Are you serious? I'm sweating like a pregnant nun back here.
So what do you guys think of The Paperboy? I'd love to hear your thoughts just in general. I thought it was interesting in pieces. I don't know if the whole thing together came through for me, but I did enjoy the performances, and I do think outside of John Cusack, I agree. I thought everyone was cast pretty well and did a pretty good job in this. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, just to clarify the Cusack thing, I think it was really, really great in it.
Fantastic,
having uncanny valley moments.
It's just hard to get away from that, right? Yeah.
He doesn't feel
you
like
can't step away from that.
Southern Florida swamp guy.
You keep wanting somebody to knock on the door and go, "Give me my $2," like one of the guys from an old Cusack movie. You know,
Tobey Maguire. You just mentioned Tobey Maguire, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was almost the Efron character.
Oh wow.
Look at these connections we find on the Grindhouse, man. We're just grinding.
Yeah, we are grinding.
Well, Almodovar, this was almost an Almodovar project. This was going to be Pedro Almodovar's first English film. I liked this movie. I didn't love this movie. I liked the noirish Florida, not Florida, but just the southern aspects of it. How do I put this? It feels like it's a true story, but it's not.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I wonder why this movie, I know it's an adaptation, and I don't believe the person who wrote the book is a fan of the, Peter Dexter has kind of disowned the film, does not like the film. It is a book.
He co-wrote the film.
Yeah, I don't think he was a fan of the final outcome.
I see.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it feels like something that's like ripped from the headlines. And there's such specific weird moments. Like, why does the dad have to put in the AP Newswire that this local woman peed on his son? That just feels like something out of a biopic that's like, well, we have to put it in there.
It's newsworthy. We have to do it.
What's Dad trying to do to me? It's called the newspaper business, Jack.
It is such a weird plot point. That's when I was like, did this fucking happen?
Well, it also it very quickly underlines how not father and son like their relationship is, and how sort of transactional and
career before everything. I mean,
he Scott Glenn, that is, puts himself before everything, and how much Zac Efron's obsessed with his mom, and Scott Glenn's left her behind, and all these things, and what's good for Scott Glenn is what happens, you know what I mean, and fuck everyone else, and I think that was a good illustration of that. Yeah, I mean, I think overall the takeaway for me is I really liked it. The very, very ending felt like a wrong note for me, where it was like, we see that he grabbed the bodies of Charlotte and his brother Ward, and then we see this wide shot of him riding off in the bayou, and Macy Gray tells us a couple of things that he ran into his mom at some point, but he never forgot Charlotte, and it is that ending didn't come together the way it felt like it needed to. And had they stuck the landing like that, I feel like it would have felt a lot stronger for everyone. And you'd forgive certain things where it's we absolutely do not cut away once from any of the sex scenes between John Cusack and Nicole Kidman, even though the first one was great and the second one was horrible. But then Macy Gray steps in to be like, "Oh, don't worry, we're not going to watch any of Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman fuck." And it's like, wait, what? What's happening?
Odd,
odd moments like that.
Yeah,
you just you'd be able to deal with it because the ending kind of felt so satisfying.
You saying this reminds me of, this is so not what this movie is, but what it's trying to, I think, in a little bit of tone and shape, is have a little bit of To Kill a Mockingbird. Because To Kill a Mockingbird has a lot of that, and that's the summer I will never forget, and I learned about, and there's almost parable, strangers turning out to be scary, people we thought were scary not being scary, right. And the film does drift into this you're right. It is very strange that Macy Gray's like, no, you're not going to see that. That's as much as you need to see. But then the sex scene with her and John Cusack, we see like dead animals and we see crocodiles like rising from the water, and it's very violent. So I'm like, why is it this like coming of age story of the first love? It's kind of thrown into this like noir. It's such an odd, jarring.
That's why
tone.
I think it's disjointed. A lot of these different segments within one film that are stitched together, they look good individually. They're better than the sum of the whole. I guess that would be the.
That's the thing. Is like, I mean, he couldn't get the story away from the noir aspects, but it felt like he wanted to.
Tried to. Yeah, I agree.
Well, similar to the two other films, they all just kind of like end. Like the climax happens, and it's like, and that's that.
I don't know. I thought Split Second had a really satisfying ending.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I literally with Split Second. I mean, when they come out of the cave,
Gotcha.
like there's like no follow up. You know, like they all come out and then it ends. This one, the boat goes off, it ends, and then Hitchhiker, he gets arrested, and the two guys are like, "Great, we're not threatened anymore." They all get out really quick, which I like. I like when a film doesn't like have like an unnecessary follow-up scene, or you know.
I mean, I feel like we watched two of the same film, even though they came out in the same year, just like two slightly different versions of the same story of, the hostage situation, someone getting from point A to point B, and then using those hostages to get there. But two very different versions.
And both movies in 1953 were directed by people who were better known as actors.
And one of them being a woman.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Ida Lupino and Dick Powell.
That's pretty amazing.
Such a good, and both have Nicholas Musaraka as DP. Both
Same DP, the RKO DP. Yeah.
So was Lee Daniels also an actor?
He must have been, right, at one point.
I mean, he actually has acted in things, but I don't think you would have identified him as an actor.
But if Zac Efron directed The Paperboy, we'd have a different story right now.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go with the Hitchhiker. I mean, I think that's an interesting story. We've got our first female director of a noir film, and then she became kind of a powerhouse. She was an acting powerhouse, and then she just became a directing powerhouse then for a little bit there. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and there are so many moments where it seemed like she's been directing forever in this movie, and you see like the reveal of the hitchhiker, for instance. Like there's that montage in the beginning where we're just seeing feet and guns and cars.
Brutal. We're watching a serial killer.
And then we see his face like show up in the newspaper, but then we don't actually see him in the moment until he pulls over Edmund O'Brien and the other guy whose name I don't remember.
The fishermen.
And then we start with the gun, and then he leans forward into the light, and there's that awesome reveal of him.
Guys, what do you think they're doing on their trip?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, they're hanging out as friends, but I think that there's more suggested. Yeah.
Well, there's that reading. I think there's two readings because they mention at the beginning, like one of the first people mentioned is this lady in town at the Alhambra, Rosalita or something. So they're definitely aware of like whether it's sex workers or nightclub dancers somewhere in like a border town. And they haven't told their wives where they're going. They said they're in the Chocolate Mountains, which is California and Arizona. There's like two different ones. Why are they lying to their wives? Why are they mentioning this wistful woman from their past? So they're either they're going there to like fuck other people, either they're going there to fuck each other. There's like maybe like a Brokeback situation where they they go on this vacation once a year, like they literally did in the Brokeback Mountain movie.
Right. Yeah.
Or it's a combination, like maybe like. they'll fuck someone together, they're all
that's their trip. That's their fishing trip, right?
There's an interesting subtext to this film.
Yeah, I agree.
but then if that's the case, when they were talking about going to San Felipe, they get there and the one guy pretends to be asleep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he didn't want to be there, and so they just wanted to be together then, or there was definitely this idea that like these two guys got back from the war and their suffocating home life or whatever was not for them, and like this is like the escape. So usually with a film noir, it's like people who have a moment of weakness or vulnerability or greed or something like that, and that sort of initial sin gets them into the trouble, right? And in this one, it's them avoiding that by not going to San Felipe.
When you get to the next intersection, why don't you turn south?
Chocolate Mountains are east. Well, they were the last time we headed that way.
Who needs the mountains? Why don't we go to San Felipe?
Nothing to do in San Felipe but fish.
Well, that was the idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we might just pick up a drink in Mexicali. Remember Floribel at the Alhambra Club?
Yeah. She's probably dead by now. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Poor old Floribel. Well, there's no harm in drinking a toast to her.
Okay. You know, except for the war, this is the first time I've been away from Morty and the kids.
You want to turn back?
No. We've come this far. Mexicali's beginning to sound good.
It's not the usual formula where it's like these guys are not as weak or whatever as people usually in film noir who are like, you know, I'm going to do this one shady thing. I'll get away with it. No big deal. But it like leads them tumbling down this other path. In this one, they're really working on them as victims. Yes,
I should correct myself. It's Floribel at the Alhambra. I don't know where the other. I think that's a different movie where someone's named. But you're right. To me, there's like two templates for film noir. One is like just like a wronged man against the system, or like one man against a rigged system. The other one is someone with an idea for a crime but unable to pull it off, whether it's because they're too dumb or vanity gets in the way or circumstances. And to me, it falls into the second one, even though maybe it is a technicality. He's not really the star of the film. But I mean, he gets in over his head. He's killed too many people. And he tries to do it again and he gets caught. So, you know, it's a kind of a technicality and it's a very simple, almost naive reading. Edmund O'Brien, the main guy in this, the sort of more outgoing of the two buddies, he's the star of DOA, which is like one of the best noirs ever made. It has the hilarious line of like, it opens with, officer, you got to help me solve a murder. And then the officer's like, who's been killed? He goes, me.
I want to report a murder.
Sit down. Where was this murder committed?
San Francisco, last night.
Who was murdered?
I was.
It's because he has some poison in him, and he has like 24 hours to live. So yeah, Edmund O'Brien, I'm a huge fan of. That actor Tallman, the horrifying one with the eye. Yeah. By the way, not to go back to Paperboy, but he did remind me a little bit of Ned Bellamy, the creepy eating ice cream with the hanged crocodile. He was great, I thought.
I thought you were about to bring up Matthew McConaughey's fucked up eye at the end there.
I mean, there's another correlation too.
When he goes like full Cutter's way and like puts on an eye patch and then goes on a suicide mission.
Right. That is very Cutter's way. That's a good point. But yeah, Ned Bellamy, I just wanted to point out, he was so fucking good. With the topless pregnant woman and his family and the boy with the baseball bat. What like a horrifying little chapter. And so Tallman in this film, that actor, the creepy one in Hitchhiker, he was on Perry Mason for like a long time.
Oh,
he was I think the DA character. He was fired. He seems like kind of a cool guy. He was fired for Perry Mason though because he was caught smoking pot at a party.
At a party?
Yeah. Cops broke up a party and like a couple random people got arrested, and he was one of them. So they fired him, but then so many fans wrote in, and then the cast kind of got behind him, so he was brought back in later seasons.
So that's always been happening in Hollywood. The fans can always bring people back and cancel people. And bring,
Uncancel, yeah. Literally in this case. Canceled from a show.
Nervous? Relax. All right, Collins, come on in. Fun's over. You guys worked up quite a sweat.
What'd you guys think of Hitchhiker?
I really liked Hitchhiker.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
It was really good. And it's one of these things where I think culturally we have a hard time understanding it now because it's like the main conceit of the movie is something that would have been very natural at that time, which is hitchhiking. I mean, now it's like almost unthinkable, right?
Unthinkable, yeah.
It's like it's someone's thumbing, you're like, huh, good luck for you, buddy.
Right.
But like in this one, not that they were, I don't know what, trying to necessarily create the fear of hitchhiking that sort of became a thing in the late 60s, especially around the Zodiac Killer. And then that kind of continued into the 70s. But at this time, it was the horror aspect of it, or the scary part was that, like, this could happen to you because hitchhiking is so common and it's just like a thing that everybody does.
So common. like especially in the 40s, very common.
Which creates an interesting cultural context at this time, where it's like it'd be like standing in line at a coffee shop or something. It's like something everybody does. Like
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then it becomes this scary situation with ugly Peter Fonda.
That's really. He does look like Peter Fonda had survived Split Second, but just stood outside during the blast. Okay, I have a couple. Okay, so have you guys ever picked up a hitchhiker?
No, never.
Not.
Never hitchhiked, never picked up one.
I picked up one once.
Jesus.
And lived to tell about it.
He looked like this when he was sleeping.
He was sleeping, staring at
with
me.
one eye open.
Yeah.
Gripping your pillow tight.
He made me shooting a can off my friend's head, you know.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, you like to shoot? Yeah, so do I."
What a torturous scene there. It's torturous,
Horrifying
right?
scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did pick up one hitchhiker up in Marin, like above San Francisco. You know, it's a nice area. She had
Sure.
a dog. She looked very indie DIY. And, you know, maybe this is very sexist of me, but I was like, she's not a serial killer. But like, hey, we got to break that glass ceiling, you know? I mean, hey, women can be serial killers too. There have been plenty in history.
Yeah.
Eileen Wuornos very recently.
Exactly.
But yeah, so perhaps that's, naive of me and, very chauvinistic to not assume. But I picked her up and her dog was in the back seat. She was doing yarn in the front seat, like with needling. And
where did she jam that knitting needle?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a weapon.
I was a little concerned. I was a little concerned that she had something sharp in her hands so close to me. But it was a fine conversation. She was totally fine until she mentioned she's from New Orleans. And Katrina came up. She said some of her family relocated. And very offhandedly, I made some comment about how, it's crazy how some people think the government blew up the dams and that it was a conspiracy. And she goes, oh, well, it was. And I was like, okay, where do you need to be dropped off? And then she's like, well, you can drop me off at the Chipotle at the next stop because they give free burritos to hitchhikers. And it was like, all right.
Perfect.
Very quickly.
I think you might find that they've changed that policy. Yeah.
The policy that doesn't exist.
That never existed.
I mean, yeah. And the minute I realized, like, I don't really know who's in my car, or, she might have different opinions on conspiracy theory type world events, and it all went fine. I dropped her off. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still here.
So, yeah. You made it.
I was also younger. This was like 2011 maybe, so I would not.
So around the time of Paperboy coming out.
Yeah.
See?
Exactly.
This could have been a bad John Cusack moment.
After she was done with Chipotle, we went to Paperboy. So, it was naive of me. I also think, well, if someone's going to hitchhike now, there's so many people that do weird YouTube stunts or extremist type shit. So that's the only justification I could think of for someone being like, I hitchhiked across 50, you know what I mean? Some dumb shit like that. Yeah.
But let me tell you a secret. Those are fake.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. They're just Bakersfield. They're saying it's the middle of the country. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're also saying that I don't know this guy who's picking me up, and it's, it's fake. But yeah, right. I also love some of the little parallels, because like they essentially, they start off in San Diego area, like and
Southern Cal, yeah, exactly.
Drive down to, Baja or somewhere, or Mexicali, and the entire time it kind of gave me some Touch of Evil vibes when he's like, no Mexican, no speaking Mexican or whatever, and like that whole thing.
What a racist piece of shit.
The whole idea of film noirs in the 50s, painting Mexico as being a scary place. Scary because the Americans that are there, I guess, but still, scary place.
But it becomes a hideout for criminals from the U.S.
Right.
And that's why it starts getting bad.
Yeah.
It even became like a cliche stock phrase, like run away to Mexico, across the border.
The border, yeah.
His refusal for them to speak Spanish to the locals is, I understand.
Mexican. He didn't want to speak Mexican.
Yeah. Thank you for the distinction. You're absolutely right. He is such an asshole.
It's okay if they use vosotros, that's Spanish, but not Mexican, okay? That's ridiculous.
There's a deleted scene where he goes, he goes into it. He likes people with the Catalan region accent only. That is no, but it's funny because his refusal to let them speak is not only practical, of like he wants to understand what they're saying to people they walk by. But it just adds to him being such a dick.
Right.
Yeah.
It really
it's all
like
a character
cements
thing. Yeah. It really cements him as just an asshole.
Yeah. This is based on a true guy. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Okay. So unlike Paperboy, this actually was based on a true story.
Yeah, exactly. He killed, it was in the 50s, this guy, I mean, I don't really have it here, but from memory, he killed a family of 5, and then he killed this other guy. But the thing about the family of 5, when I read about it, that really stuck with me, he just drove them around for 72 hours around, like, Oklahoma, Texas area, I think. It's like, that sounds worse than death.
Did they die of boredom?
With your family, yeah, right.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Drove around aimlessly in Oklahoma for 72 hours. He was caught in Mexico. An officer recognized him and just apparently took the gun out of his holster, threw it to the side, and then officers pushed him over the border, physically pushed him over the border because there wasn't an extradition policy, but that he was immediately arrested. Yeah.
You're extradited literally by being pushed over the border.
Yeah.
Physically pushed. That's awesome. Get back
that's
here.
like, the floor is lava almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, there's this imaginary wall. I can't go anything about it. Oh, pushed him through it. Yeah.
That is kind of how this ending worked, though. I thought that this one had a neat kind of twist. The police kind of played with the media a little bit and said that they had his whereabouts were in a different location, and that so he felt like he was perfectly safe. And it was a nice little twist for the end there, but like you said, the ending didn't really go anywhere. But it sounds similar to what happened.
It went somewhere. It was just like it ended suddenly, I think.
Sorry. But it does sound kind of similar to what actually happened. It was an actual person down in Mexico. Authority found this person, took their gun, and did it. And isn't that kind of how this went down as well?
I think he was trying to get to the ferry to get to the mainland. So yeah, there is definite stuff drawn from real life. The other thing this reminded me of was Joyce Carol Oates. Did anyone read that story in like high school? Where are you going? Where have you been?
Oh, no, I haven't read that one.
If you like The Hitchhiker, or check that out, very similar feeling of like perfect post-war America being punctured by like a leather-clad, nasty motherfucker.
Uh-huh.
It's a family in that one versus 2 friends. So.
Yeah.
I do have one last thing about Hitchhiker. I sent some photos in the chat last night of like rock formations. That is called the Alabama Hills. It's up in Lone Pine. There is a history of Western film museum out there. This is actually Mount Whitney. This is right below Mount Whitney.
Okay.
All the snow. There's a rock called the Mobius Rock, which has like a hole in it. I think I sent you a couple of those.
Yeah. It looks like a Mobius strip. Yeah.
Yeah. You see the Mobius Rock in Hitchhiker.
Oh, cool.
A couple different times. So I was like pausing it being like, it's so weird. Like, I'm not this kind of nature guy, but I was like, I'm able to identify a rock formation in this film. Very strange. And also really worth the trip. There's like an old saloon. There's the film museum. It's 3 hours away. The nature is stunning. Iron Man was filmed out there. Gladiator, Django Unchained. Every Western. All the Randolph Scott Westerns. They have a film museum there. I went inside. I saw the display on The Hitchhiker because they don't have many noirs in the museum. And I asked the woman working, I was like, have you seen The Hitchhiker? And she just kind of shakes her head and goes, weird movie.
Really?
So, yeah, I thought you guys would appreciate that. I think that they're used to like people talking to them about like the Westerns, which usually
Iron Man or something more recent.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah,
Tremors or the Star Trek movies that shot out there, But yeah, The Hitchhiker they have a bust of Ida Lupino and a giant poster of it. But I just had to share that personal. Also, when he makes him switch clothes, that is so gross. That leather must be so fucking hot.
God. I know, like walking through the desert for 2 days. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch these clothes. Oh.
That on
underwear
that
too?
Like,
yeah, I have to deal with my own swass. It's like, why do I have to deal with yours too?
He smells horrible.
Yeah.
Like, he's
God.
killed like so many people in just
exactly. Yeah, he's just covered in death.
That was the last thing I wanted to touch on. This was made as for RKO, like Ida Lupino. I think that it was made independently, but this was an RKO film. They made a lot of money on it. Split Second was not. Split Second was made during like a brief period from September 52 to February 53, I believe. Maybe the next year. Anyway, it was only a couple months when Howard Hughes did not own the studio. He sold it, and they made one film, and that was Split Second. So, weirdly, it's Howard Hughes' era, but like the brief months that he wasn't in charge, Split Second is the result of that. Yeah.
But the same crew working on this, I mean, with the DP,
Yeah.
So we go from 2 people getting captured in this one over the border to Split Second, where we've got 2 groups of people that are ultimately put together in a group and kind of forced into a The Thing situation or Night of the Living Dead situation in this ghost town that's going to be hit by an atomic bomb test at 0600 hours. actually 0500 when that changes, but 0600 is what we're led to believe throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Well, how funny though was the opening scene of Split Second, where after just having watched The Hitchhiker, like the opening scene is like three guys have been like, "What are you doing here? Didn't you see the roadblock?" It's like, "We've been hunting for days," and it's like, they were on a hunting trip and then got interrupted by roadblocks or whatever. Like that was almost exactly what was happening in Hitchhiker.
Right.
Wait, did you guys like Split Second?
I loved Split Second. This was my favorite of the bunch. I was gonna
love it.
Probably save that for my ratings, but yeah, no, totally. This was my favorite of the bunch for sure. I liked that it was a similar story to Hitchhiker. Almost felt like a completed draft of that, or an extended draft of that. Yeah. It was the same exact story. It was from point A to point B, but this one had a little bit of Reservoir Dogs in it, with the Bart being injured critically and dying throughout the entire movie with a bullet in his gut. You've got a little bit of a shootout in an old West ghost town by the end, so it kind of had a little bit of Western feel in there as well. Had The Thing, Night of the Living Dead, all that. And I thought the ending with the bomb going off, they actually fucking set the bomb off. It was like, bring home the fucking bacon.
I was
go.
really worried that they weren't going to do it.
Yeah.
That there was going to be something. There's going to be called
kind of a
off
Chekhov's gun thing, right? Yeah. You're talking about these roadblocks being set, these Nevada testing grounds where they're going to set off this atomic bomb, and if you don't ever set it off, you've got a problem. So you better set off the bomb. Right. But I think they came through with a really cool miniature effect and doing some opticals and visuals. I thought it was pretty great for the time period.
Totally.
That car flying off the road.
And then they cut to the
shot.
inside of the car spinning, like it was really, really smart. Yeah.
Yes, and if you listen closely, not only is she screaming, which is like horrifying, and you hear the wind, but you also hear like metal clanking. So like the car is also twisting.
Awesome.
It's really a disturbing ending.
Smart sound design, right? Like way before sound design was even a coined term.
Totally. Yeah. That's Alexis Smith. Yeah, she's a great actress. That
you're talking about the Mrs. Pasadena or whatever she was.
Yeah.
Cat or K. Yeah.
She's famously in like 2 different Bogart films where he's like trying to kill her. It's 2 Mrs. Carols and Conflict.
She was not my favorite character in this film, mostly because I think she looked like an idiot. She kept running around to the next person or next viable option, let's call it. And this one being Sam, the murderer this time,
Yeah, desperately looking for a parachute out of this situation and anything to cling on to.
Right, every time. It seemed like in life she was always looking for that too. And that's kind of that's why she was divorced the doctor and she was with another person at the time.
That scene where she asked the doctor if she can take him back is like heartbreaking. Like I get why he doesn't, but he's very honest with her. And then she just puts her. He's like, "No, I'm not. I can't go through this again." And she's like so sad, and then puts her head in his shoulders. It's like that's like a weirdly human moment for a 1950s film, a broken couple.
Well, and then just seconds later, Sam the bad guy comes by, and she like just leaps off the doctor and like clings onto him, like burrows in like a tick, and then she runs to the car with him and all these things.
Yeah.
It was. Her character being turned up to 11 was it was a really slow boil, but it was really cool to see.
I liked her character. I didn't like who that character was.
Right.
But I liked the performance.
Yeah.
Jeremy, did you like the film?
Yeah, no, I really liked it. So I liked it. It was I think the first whatever it is, like 3 minutes where we keep meeting different things. Like, wait, what movie is this? Where are we gonna finally land on something? I thought that actually that structure was great when we were meeting, the criminals, the newspaper reporter, and the woman hitchhiking, and then a couple having an affair.
The infidelity couple, yeah.
But then, like, before all that, we were, like, spending too much time, in my opinion, with some of the military guys and whatever, and it's like...
It could have been one...
We could have done that a little faster, maybe?
Yeah.
But it was very cool how they introduced the mining town with the exposition, colonels or whatever they were flying over it.
Exactly.
And they were like, "Yep, this is a town we're going to test to see what it does to a town." And but it's abandoned. We checked it 3 times and no one's there.
Well, we better go check one more time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just make sure.
What's that? It's an old mining town. Lost Hope City. It blows up tomorrow too.
Ghost town?
Yeah, we went through it yesterday just to make sure. Maybe we better give it another look, just in case.
But I kept getting all these parallels to Hitchhiker, which is wild. I mean, like they recycled certain bits. I mean, the hunting trip, as we mentioned earlier, the guy, I think it was a prison break also in Hitchhiker. He had escaped the authorities somehow. But the way that the main bad guy was introduced was showing his face in the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like in Hitchhiker. The hitchhiking that the dancer woman was doing, who didn't have enough money to pay for her donuts or whatever.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You know, the fact that it's in the desert as well. All very interesting parallels. And then, as I mentioned before, like, you know, actors in the director's chair.
Well, this summer there's been a lot of movies about people just trapped in a desert. I'm not the first one to make this observation, but Oppenheimer, Barbie, Asteroid City, all about a group of people that like are trapped in a desert landscape environment for some reason or other. And then it was I forget who was making the further comparison that this might be some sort of residual after effect of the pandemic, of us being quarantined, of people writing from a specific point of view. I think that's a little too essay minded, but I like that reading, you know?
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. It works in a lab, but maybe not in the world. Yeah. But
as always.
Yeah. But I think it also did certain things really well that movies around this time, you know, kind of struggle with, or for a modern audience, it's a struggle. Like, first of all, like them being so explicit about Mrs. Pasadena's affair, you know, that is usually sort of glossed over or like very like lightly hinted at, and you have to kind of read between some lines there or whatever, you know, which is, you know, it's part of the Hays Code, you know, that makes that.
This was pretty overt, though.
Such a sticking point. But, yeah, it was very overt in this. And I think also the thing that it did really well is, like, you know, normally you get these fights in film noirs or movies from the era where it's like, you know, quick knock on the jaw and the fight's over. In this one, they were very drawn out. I mean, like, think of how long the fight was with the gas station attendant where he tries to grab the gun and he judo flips him. And then the camera sort of dollies in real fast. He pistol whips the shit out of him. And we see, like, his face is all torn up. And then he blows him away.
Hide him in the back, then check the house.
Point blank. Shoots him at point blank.
Yeah, literally, like execution style.
Yeah. And then the long fight later on with the newspaper reporter, and it must have been Sam or the other. What was the guy who had the funny name? Dummy.
Oh, Dummy.
Yeah, Dummy.
Yeah. So he gets a fight with one of those guys, and like it was really protracted. Which again, like, you know, normally fights are just a quick boff on the chin, and you're out cold. And then you wake up kind of rubbing the chin. He got the better of me.
After the dissolve or the fade out,
yeah.
I like a girl who fights for a guy.
I didn't think I did too well.
If you did any better, you'd be dead.
But all that I think was really well done. And then I love how we ended up building onto this party of different people that got trapped in this city.
And I didn't understand the purpose of the prospector until the very end, and it was almost like he was set up just so they could find the mine at the end and save themselves, right?
Right, totally. The prospector was a little much. That one
Arthur Honeycutt. If you watch any Western, he's in like every Western.
I mean, he also seemed like out of time. It was like, okay, this isn't
exactly.
the 1850s. Okay,
I thought,
it's like, you know.
I thought there was going to be some sort of subplot where there was some time warp that opened up
time
underground.
Warp in the mine. Yeah.
We already tested an atomic bomb. We cracked open some time warp, and this guy came back from the 1800s panning for gold. Yeah.
Guys, I found a mine.
Then there gold up in them hills in 1953. It's like
Joan of Arc is in the mine. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You're a century too late, my man.
You mentioned, though, that they do the helicopter touchdown, you know, that they're like, well, we better just go inspect it one more time. It just occurred to me, those guys might not be that great at their job, or the prospector's really good at hiding, because how is he just, like, living in the town? Yeah, he's in the...
Well, he came back, he said. He came back to get, like, some leftover stuff.
Gotcha,
yeah.
That's a good point.
So he just needed to get there before an atomic bomb went off in the morning. Like, everyone was a little too casual about what was actually going on in this town.
Yeah. Okay, so there's great noir dialogue that laces in the atomic anxiety. Yeah. I wrote 3 of them down. The ones that I loved...
We could all be a hunk of that flash that people are going to watch.
Mm-hmm. The other one is...
Big man. He has atom bombs for breakfast.
Right.
And the last one is a line about them being in a spot between the devil and the bright red bomb.
Quite a spot.
between the devil and the bright red bomb.
I'm just like, it's such poetic, like, lacing in.
I can add on to another one. The very last line that the doc says.
Okay, Doc. Yeah. Let's take a look at the world of tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, great line.
And it was like, well, this is the atomic age, right? It started now.
And they stopped those bomb tests in '63, and it's like they used to have people stand on cars and watch. So it's like, I'd give it a day, y'all, because the fallout, you know, is still...
stay in there. Stay in the mine.
Okay, that was what was interesting. That line about, let's see the new world recreated or whatever, and they crawl out of the mine, and then sort of the last shots are like looking at sort of close-ups of the mushroom cloud.
Cloud, yeah.
And the bomb.
Yeah.
And it gives the audience the feeling that these guys are just going to be irradiated with fallout.
That's what I got out of it. They are all fucked.
No matter what, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they didn't get away from it. They just survived today.
Right.
Oh, I didn't get that. I got in a very naive Hollywood 50s ending, and they're all fine. But you're right.
It might have been. That's the thing is, though, what I was trying to get at is like that it kind of felt like Powell just had no sense of the radiation. And then a couple of years later, he learned the hard way.
Yes. So the cruel irony, this is verbatim from a TCM essay, an essay on TCM. The cruel irony of that conclusion is what it implied for the production team. Not long after making this film, director Dick Powell headed up the John Wayne vehicle, The Conqueror, 1956, shot in St. George, Utah.
Also Howard Hughes production.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, it would have been if it's 50s and RKO. St. George, Utah is downwind from an above-ground atomic test like the one depicted in Split Second. 25 years later, 91 members of Powell's 220-member cast and crew from that film had died of cancer, a rate 3 times higher than the national average. The cancer deaths included Wayne himself and Powell, who died of lymphoma just 7 years after the shoot. So, crazy, right?
Agnes Moorehead, who... You're like, okay, Dick Powell and John Wayne, they're big smokers, so cancer, right? It makes sense. But, she was a teetotaler and, straight edge for life, and she still died of, a brain lung cancer or something. It was like, a fun little combination.
From radiation and a fallout?
Right, because they went to the sort of area of the desert where all this fallout had fallen, and then they took some scenes and shot them on stages, and they scooped up the sand from that irradiated area and brought it to the stages because it would match better or whatever.
Here, have some Pop Rocks.
It was like such a cursed film, and then
wow, interesting.
Susan Hayward too. It wasn't just Agnes. It was, and then there was a Mexican actor who killed himself because of the pain. A Mexican-American actor, Pedro Armendariz. Yeah, and then it was Susan Hayward. Yeah, I had no idea about Agnes Moorehead, Jeremy. That's crazy. Yeah. It says that they link her death to The Conqueror, the filming in the atomic test site.
Right. I mean, it feels like there's a lot of muddying of the waters of some of this story. Because a lot of people died of cancer in that era. It is the hand wave away explanation, but you're right. Like the national average, it was like way above that, and that 220 number was also including certain extras and people who filmed in the movie after the desert stuff. So the percentage is even higher. And what's funny too is like tying Split Second again to Mr. J. Robert Oppenheimer. The 2023 smash hit biopic, is that both this movie and Oppenheimer seem to have very little understanding of radiation. Like it's
completely.
It's like so absent. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, we didn't know, right? I mean, this was all we might have had an idea, but we had no idea the amount of fallout that we were going to get, right?
Yeah. No. The scientists in the Manhattan Project, they knew, but I'm just in the movie they don't talk about it. They barely mention it once, and it just never mentioned again.
I thought you meant the people in these movies. I'm like, these people are not scientists. These characters we're following in Split Second. I'm like, how would they know?
Although what was interesting is like the sort of secrecy of some of this stuff didn't seem to be too secret. They were like, yep, we're doing another bomb.
They also they knew what the green flare meant. They knew exactly. They had this is the 1 minute warning. What? How the fuck?
How did he know that? I wondered the exact same thing. Yeah. That actor, by the way, he also took his own life. That actor, Keith Andes, in in 2005 from bladder cancer. Had a really interesting career though. One of his later credits, that guy wound up in And Justice for All, the Al Pacino film.
Oh, right.
What's the famous quote from that? Is it?
It's not.
You're out of order. You're out of order.
You're out of order.
This whole court's out of order. Yeah, right. Not an amazing film, but yeah, I just wanted to point out that actor Keith Andes. Yeah, but you're right. It is weird that he's like familiar with. The 1 minute warning mark. I mean, when the alarm comes in Split Second, that is a genuinely scary moment.
Yeah.
I love that moment. I was like, oh shit, it made me actually sit up.
But I thought that was interesting that they knew exactly what it was, and I thought that kind of said what the time was at that time. It's like everyone knew what an atomic bomb warning sounded like. Right. Everyone knew what a green flare meant. It's like, wow, if that was popular culture or popular knowledge,
right?
What a rough time to live in, right? To be like just ready for that at any time.
I guess the one thing there though is that like, yes, there's that, which is, you know, I mean, you know, you talk about like all those like school drills, where it's like, yeah, get under your desk and that'll do something.
Like Matinee, right? Dante did a lot of that, and
but you know that was a little later, like, you know, closer to the old 60s. Cuban Missile Crisis, or the October Crisis as it's called. Speaking of, I guess, the naivete, the Sam character just pushing it to the limit there. He's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock now. Why are they putting the alarm on? It's like, but my man, you only have an hour if it was going off of the regular schedule. So what the fuck? Shouldn't you have been gone?
You had like 2 more hours. Yeah, just get out of here, man. Let's not wait till the last minute. You know?
I mean, you might not want to do that for an atomic bomb, okay? and maybe you would have taken the correct turn instead of.
I was gonna say he got his Tales from the Crypt ending. You know, he just made like that one turn, and then all of a sudden couldn't get out of the mud. And
right.
The bomb.
They're like the tower, the bomb.
When the car pulls back into the town, I forgot just how fucked they are. I'm like, oh god.
Oh,
and that's exactly when I realized how fucked they were, because all of a sudden they're back in the town. I'm like, wow, it took them that long to get back to where they started. I'm like, they're done.
Yeah, totally.
And they again, they brought it. They fucking blew them up.
They went looking around for a lead-lined refrigerator in there.
I know. Yeah.
Where's the gopher that we need to chase at the beginning? And then we'll go chase that into the lead-lined refrigerator so Indy can make it. Yeah.
Indy made it. Yeah.
That should be an Indiana Jones movie. Now that you mention it, that should be written into an Indiana Jones movie.
It should be.
What brilliance?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, that can't be good.
All personnel, it is now 1 minute to 0 time. Put on goggles or turn away.
Last couple things. Victor Mature and Jane Russell were supposed to star in Split Second, which I think would have kind of added to the general notoriety. I mentioned in the text, not a lot of people have seen this film, it seems.
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah.
Hard to find, right?
I think, but how did you find? I saw it on TCM years ago, and then when I looked it up on Letterboxd, only like 100 or so reviews, which is pretty low for an older film like this.
Yeah, I got it on a bootleg DVD.
Yeah.
That was taken from a VHS tape of it, put onto a DVD.
A double transfer
version. And which is why the one we saw had like, kind of the sort of prism-like, color in the corner there, and it occasionally had a tracking issue.
Yeah, it rolled a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, it kind of brought me back though, man. Yeah. I was all about it. Yeah. I kind of wanted to hit my VCR.
Paul Kelly, the actor who's the injured bad guy,
Bart, yeah.
Yeah, he shot an actor named Ray Raymond in 1927. He's been working a long time. He goes back to like the Roaring Twenties, literally the film, the Roaring Twenties, not just the euphemism for the era.
Wow.
He shot a guy's. He was in love with his wife and shot the guy, and then later when he got out of San Quentin, married her. Dorothy McKay.
Married the widow that he created?
Yes, because they were having
that's
an
poetic.
affair.
Yeah, it's straight out of Babylon or whatever. Yeah.
That
so
era.
He's like
totally.
Mr. Orange.
Yeah.
Totally.
But he's a real criminal, yeah.
Totally. Real criminal, Paul Kelly, spent time in San Quentin, and then later did a film where he played like the warden of San Quentin, the prison where he did time.
Wow.
I like the scenes between... Full circle. I love the scenes, just before we go, I love the scenes between Jan Sterling and Alexis Smith. There's like 2 in particular. There's one where Alexis Smith, who's way shadier and her social mores are all over the place, but she's like socially more put together. She's critiquing Jan Sterling for being like a nightclub singer, nightclub dancer, working in nightclubs.
Right. Yep.
And that reminded me of Stagecoach. There's that scene, you know, where the very prim and proper woman is like, will not talk to the prostitute or looks down on her. But the irony is here Miss Pasadena, the one that like fucking sucks. And like, it's like, just like kind of living this like shitty life, looking down on the one who socially might be, you know, working in nightclubs.
Who's just trying to make a living, trying to hustle to make a living, right?
Totally. And I also really like when Jan Sterling, who's great, by the way. She's in like Ace in the Hole, Caged.
That's
Mystery
what I knew her
Street.
from. God, Ace in the Hole, right?
Ace. That's like her best movie, Ace in the Hole. She's in a lot of good westerns too. Man with a Gun. When she asks her for a little bit of the alcohol, Alexis Smith like obliges her, and then when she asks for some more, she doesn't. Jan Sterling's like, oh, that's fine. She's just very like comme ça. She's very chill.
Yeah, right.
I really like her in this film. So
yeah, she was really good.
Oh, and this is heavily influenced by Petrified Forest, the Bogart, Betty Davis. It was a famous play.
Okay.
Gangsters holding up in a spot, having to hold hostages. That narrative.
And they take it to the
begins
next level by, having a ticking atom bomb.
with the ticking bomb. Yeah. That's about all that I had. I mean, mostly just I didn't know about the Conqueror stuff with people dying of cancer. And that also being Dick Powell. That's pretty crazy.
But this just seems like a nice format to add some cool things like atomic bombs to, and to be able to morph and take in different directions with this one through line of that like hostage situation, and it kind of adds that bit, and to add little time limits like the atom bomb being one of them, but other things like you can really play with this format as kind of its that baseline, and then really go off. I would obviously go for some sort of horror comedy supernatural thing, but you know how that works, yeah. But I thought these were great. I thought these were cool examples of noir, and yet again, we have a good block on our hands with Alex here. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, great block. And if you guys like atomic noirs, you've probably seen it. Kiss Me Deadly is like the famous example.
Right.
Has a explosive atomic ending. It's kind of the MacGuffin of the film. So if you like Split Second, you might like Kiss Me Deadly. Which honestly, Kiss Me Deadly is probably a better film. I love Split Second. It is so short, and I think it's for me. It's Split Second, Hitchhiker, Paperboy. I like Hitchhiker a lot too, but it's it's 71
I'm the
minutes.
same.
Nice.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
You did Split Second, Hitchhiker, Paperboy. I say, yeah. I think it is tough. I might go Paperboy, Split Second, Hitchhiker.
Paperboy number one.
Yeah.
Wow, you really like Paperboy then, huh? Nice.
I did like it a lot. I mean, like I said, I feel like they didn't quite nail the ending there. And I was a little confused about that line where it was like, you want me to kill you, don't you? Like John Cusack is holding a machete to Matthew McConaughey's neck, and he's like, you want me to kill you, don't you? And he's like, yes.
Is this what you wanted?
Yeah. Or does he say yes? Like
I don't remember him saying yes, but I do remember the question.
I was not expecting him to slit his throat in that moment.
I thought it was going to be a standoff or something. Nope, he's just like slow and steady.
In that super casual way too. It wasn't one of those like shaky like gagging for air or gasping for air or anything like that. This was just a slow slice. It was awful.
The camera just shows it. It just doesn't
it doesn't. Yeah. There's a lot that the camera was not afraid to show in that movie, and I think that's one of those reasons I felt like I needed to wash my hands after that one.
Well, wash out the eyes, I
had to go take a shower.
Don't go straight to bed.
I did not.
Maybe play some Mario
for a good
Kart
90 minutes at least,
that,
playing Starfield for sure.
Right.
Well, Alex, thanks again for joining us. Do you mind plugging yourself online again for us?
Yeah. Only Film Noir. Only Film Noir is where you can find me. I am.
That's on Instagram then?
That is on Instagram. Yeah, I sometimes post on Medium. I'm trying to get better at that. I love, coming on this show and talking to you guys, and I love that it's collaborative too. Like we kind of land on these block of films based on, me maybe bringing one very strange noir that people haven't seen very much, and you guys saying, "Hey, I've been meaning to watch this." So it's always fun chatting with you guys, but also the choice is being collaborative as well. So thanks for having me back.
Noir is not my thing, and I don't have much knowledge of it, so it's nice to work with you guys because you guys actually bring some new things that I would never in a million years have chosen to see, but I'm super glad that I am. So this is really fun. And thanks again for joining.
Yeah, great. Pleasure chatting, fellas.
Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on all the podcasts and social platforms at the Grindhouse Institute. And if you really want to give us a boost, check us out on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps us to get noticed. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next time.
Ciao.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sam Hayes reporting your news final. At the top of the news tonight is the report that the hitchhike murderer, Emmett Myers, is still at large. In an all-out effort to apprehend Myers, the police have set up roadblocks on all major highways in the western states, and all border stations are being closely watched.
They're not even close. You guys don't have to worry. Not yet. You can start sweating when they put me in this car.
If they ever do.